Okay, well, I'm doing this as for all the housewife who's out there. We're going to be doing a little bit of an exam of Isekai Slow Life. Now, I just kind of did this as a quick setup. Nothing super huge. Just want to kind of give out some basic information about what you should be looking to do when you're starting this game. You don't have to be a whale to really advance in the game. There are certain strategies, but it takes patience and understanding about how the game mechanics work. So, first things first, there is a lot going on. It has obviously, I'm going to be using my phone to kind of scroll through this as a control unit because I'm just mirroring it to the PC so that you can all see it. Now, what we're going to be looking at here is there's a couple of different things that dictate how well you can do pretty much anything in the game. It's your village, which is the first thing that they really push you to do. You start out with the inn, and then you slowly progress and you unlock stuff, and there's little events, and then you can unlock more stuff. And a lot of that is tied into story elements. So it's always good to build that up, get your story elements done, and then build further. In the very beginning, this changes when you go further on, when you want to compete on power increase events and income increase events and stuff like that. The dynamic completely changes from the start of the game to getting your bearings about how all the systems work compared to what you're going to do after the fact and how you want to compete and stuff and how you get better items and how you get better followers and how you can compete in that stuff without just dumping a bunch of money and doing crystals and all that stuff. There's quite a few different things that like I said, increase the power or your ability to do stuff. Your town, which generates money. So you have that kind of correlation. There's a lot of things that affect money, which your followers affect money. Your family affects money. So you have two different kind of collection groups. You have your followers or your fellows and your family. So we'll go back and kind of just go off of the massive amount of stuff that's on this screen first to kind of give you an idea. Your family is going to be all of these characters that you collect over time. As you can see, I've gotten quite a few of them. I have almost all of them except for the ultra rare ones and stuff. Which those if you don't prepare properly, which I didn't know in the beginning of the game when I first joined the server, there's no way to really get those unless you were hardcore saving all the crystals you earn during the day and then compete in the events and do stuff, so on and so forth. So the biggest thing that you want to first start, let's not look at the very top. The top is all the VIP, the current events, and all that stuff. You can see there's just a lot going on there. There's multiple events going on right now, so those are things to do. There's a fishing competition. There's a whole guild thing going on right now, which has its own rules and what to do and stuff. There's mini games and leaderboard that cycle, and you get rewards for your family and your fellows. Um, and then you have an artifact system. These are basically your weapons. I just kind of call it that, which have their own individual kind of percent bases that could boost. And then later on, when you get the ultra rares, you can upgrade those. This has to deal with the power system. So we'll go over that in a second. So the first thing you're going to want to take a look at is your village. Once you start here, you start off with your inn. The way that the system stacks is you can see that it's divided into how many employees and the building upgrades. Now, when you do events, this could be really, really large increases in the very, very beginning of the game. It's really hard to compete on an old server when you're a new person coming into an old server, but they do have new servers that pop up. And they do server mergers and stuff like that to keep, inject people in and stuff. But you can see on the bottom, those are your fellows. And those fellows have percent increases that don't have to deal specifically with their power. But it's good to have the fellows. They work in the shop. They do increases. We'll go over how the increase system works for per fellow on that. Then you would have your farmstead. This thing, basically, it's one of those tapping things. You can see I'm tapping it. In the very beginning, you're going to want to kind of spam that to get as much as you can just to get started off, get that leveled up. I have mine at 17. I pretty much don't focus on leveling it up anymore. Depending on how old your server is, you'll have the farm unlocked. This is a system that is specifically for income. So you have a money tree, that's income. Any power ups you get from these are income based. So this is going to be where you're going to be focusing on getting earnings, especially when you want to save those, because you don't have to use them right away. Nothing in the game you have to use right away. You can build those up and then use them during competition times, which is what you want to essentially do. You don't have to put followers in. Also, you can use that for competition time. Once you unlock them, you can just have them hold off and then add them when you want to do that. For instance, I don't know, I think I have one around here somewhere. Like the bank, I can add a couple people, but I'm not doing that yet because I'm saving that for the income so that I can compete. And those give giant increases. Those increases are based off of the operations level of your character. Each one has different operations levels when you get them, depending if they're super rare, ultra rare, whatever. Um, and you want to save, they have these things called study notes. Another thing you could save for the competitions. You don't have to use them right away. Once you do, boom. And then every time when you do the competition, you come out more powerful. That will help you save, go through stories, do that stuff in those times. It's like a rotation of that. So there's always something to do as long as you're planning right. If you burn through everything, you're kind of get bored because you're not competing and then you're not getting great rewards and then you have nothing to look forward to. Like there's kind of that loop. So the patience is a virtue for it. So village money, study notes on characters increase money, the farm increases money. Your Once you unlock the kitchen, that is a huge source of increasing money. Um, you get these. This has a couple different buffs in here that you could get, but you can see these earnings right here. These are huge. These give you a massive leg up. It's not hard to farm. You can see I'm saving mine right now just to, because we just came from an event. Just be on top of it. Like your daily activities will give you enough to compete as long as, and there's breaks in between the events, and we'll take a look at that toward the end of this. Um, you can let's see, you have an events, gives you money. Um, each time when you do hire though, the price increases crazy high. So what you want to do, the main strat for doing that is not just focus in on one building. I know that's tempting to do, but you want to basically evenly level up so that they're all at the same increase level. So it's going to cost you the same to increase one over the other, each time. Your inn is the slowest one to increase for the most potential of getting stuff. So it can be a powerhouse in the beginning. Each one of the buildings and archetypes are divided into kind of like diligent, which is the one with the yellow icon on the top left hand corner. You have brave, I forgot what the wings are, but inspiration, intellectual. Now I forgot the name of it. Oh, it's unfettered. Unfettered is the feather one. I should know that because Nip is my main character on here that I power up. Another thing to do is you don't want to you want to develop and kind of focus in on two characters, right? That are your powerhouses. I picked Nip and Jewel because I would only pick Nip and Jewel if you're consistently on, because their progress is directly related to events that only last 1 hour a day, and they're split into the morning and the nighttime. So there's 1 hour for golems, or no, it might be 2 hours, but it's 2 hours for the golem, 1 hour for, or 2 hours to clean up the area before the golem, which is used for the attack power and stuff, and then the other one is to actually attack the golem. So, and that gives you like potentially your first ultra rare. As long as you stay with it and your server is active, you'll be able to consistently get those items to earn it. So that will be a free source of power up that's really, really strong. You only are able to get one of these items. As you can see here, it's this crown right here. It takes 20 of these shards. You get 2 per as long as you do a clear and you're up in, at least not in the, I guess, the 800s or something like that. So you'll get 2. So in 10 days, if you play 10 days, you'll be able to unlock the crown. And then to increase the power of it, you'll get, it's every 30 shards, you're able to add in another big increase to it's percent power. Um, Now, percent power also increases earnings, and there's individual earnings per fellow, so that's going to be another thing. So this is where they kind of bleed together, where earnings and power bleed together, is on the individual characters, and then to your artifact slash weapon, whatever you want to call it. They call them artifacts. I just call them weapons. Your artifact will bleed into that. There's a lot of ways to increase power. Every one of these buttons has something. They're very self-explanatory. And what you want to do. So this system really doesn't need to be gone over. They go over it a lot in the game, and each thing tells you. But the best idea is to save your stuff for when there's a power event. Um, Now, continuing on to the correlation between power and earnings, the next big earnings block is going to be your challenges. Oops. Your challenges are basically where you pit your power, your followers, against the kind of tower. It unlocks some stuff. It gives you crystals the farther you go up. So the more power you have, the more crystals you get access to. But the biggest thing is if you look at the lower right-hand corner, it shows village earnings. Now, because I'm so far up on the tower, the village earnings for that are 945%. That base is a huge increase whenever you're doing that. So I tend to not go and attack the tower unless it's a increase thing. So essentially what you're going to want to do, I was getting a message. Essentially what you want to do is you want to get those cleared during earnings events, right? Which will do the what is it called? Your increase in your town, and then what you're going to want to do is increase your power, right? Before you do those events, and they go in a cycle of power earnings when you're doing the events. So I'll show you before we lead off into more earnings related items. Let's see. Obviously, there are so many items. Each one's self-explanatory. They give you ideas of that stuff. So I'm not going to really be going over that. Where was I here? So so then going into power, the last big earnings one. Sorry, finishing off the earnings is a trade post. Now your trade post is also correlated to power. Certain individuals have bonuses, so you want to make sure that you have, kind of a good juxtaposition when you're first starting out and when you're doing negotiations. Later on, when you get higher level, you could just do all the negotiations. You could do auto negotiations, which I have that set up. So I have this, and then these are my teams that I have set up. I haven't finished setting up the bottom row. I know I have a couple other ones, but I got to do that. But that's kind of like a trade post-war battle thing. I don't think on this one you need to save. You can actually just put your characters in right away. Because most of the attack and increase on that is when you're competing against other people. This is another form of like direct PvP. You can see these are the people who have gone against me. It's actually, nobody has specifically called me out in a while because on the leaderboards, as you can see, I'm number 3 on there. So it kind of is a little bit of a protection when I'm up on there. But it basically, when you get attacked, it decreases, like in negotiations, it decreases your point score. So it's more of a direct competition for the server. And that gives you earnings by a lot. You'll get a huge, huge chunk. As you can see, I was just in here, and there's another billion, whatever, goes through. And then it has a shop. So when you do your random negotiations, and you're not specifically targeting people, you'll get these points, and these points will be able to get you items. So a lot of this stuff is just making sure to go, okay, this is what I'm going for. Like, I'm going to do the kitchen, or I need to level my characters. And gathering up those items before an event pops up. And there's a lot of stores. There's a lot of ways that every day you're going to be able to gather items. The store shop is easy to switch between. You can just take a look at all of them. I haven't really gotten anything currently, but you're able to do that. And so those are kind of your big bads for increasing your currency. There's when you're looking at a calendar now, right? So this is where we are. This is the first day of this event. This is like the whale time. There's like an event for it's like two events for everybody, and then this is where your rush ranks for whales are basically how many crystals you spend, which obviously that the crystals related to money. You do earn crystals, but you're not going to be able to compete in that unless you're spending money. And the banquet one, realistically, the banquet one, you do get stuff, but there's no way that you're going to be able to compete in the banquet one unless you're spending money. So they do have that for the whales. That's like whatever, but then you have the other ones that are available. You still get rewards just from your ambient stuff that you do daily from it. They're not super massive great, but they do give you at least something depending on where you're placing. They do have kind of freebie things like this Wolf Wolf Bakery thing is a mini game that you play. They have a leaderboard score, stuff like that. It's really free to play friendly. Some people can cheese it if they want to spend crystals, but realistically, I did the alchemy one is my favorite one, and I got first place in that thing super easy without spending any currency whatsoever. And it's just because I like that game. And then they have stuff for costumes that give certain things to the family, certain power ups, so on and so forth. But when you're looking at these, once you start a new one, you'll be able to see the ones coming up in the next week, right? So the Elixir event is coming back. There's some treasure thing that I haven't seen before that's coming up. The champion thing is giving power that pops up, in rotation with the other ones. And then if you look at these, there we go. Fellow power ranking rush. That should give everybody, at least if they want to compete, hey, don't spend anything on power. This is going to be coming up. So save your stuff. If you're not doing it for a long term, at least try to do it for a week so your stuff becomes better. Like your chances of getting better stuff. And then a trade post influence. We just talked about trade post influence. That's going to be a big thing coming up as well. And so let's take a look here. Now let's go into power structure. Now, the first things first, because family is kind of weird the way that they have it. Yeah, it's got the waifus, collect your waifus. There's some guys in there too, so if you need himbos, they have some. Each one of these characters' power ranking gets used in kind of different ways. You have your events in the mine. This is a big power-focused event. There are certain world events that cycle through that require power, and it's very specific on power and specific on how power is used, and it does calculate differently than what the money is. It can change wildly depending on which event it is, and if you go through and do all the research for the characters, just spend some time reading through, hey, what do I got? You'll be able to see what does what, and then you can make informed decisions. You can preview all the characters before you decide to start putting anything into them. And that's what I recommend doing. Going, okay, this is a hero character, right? So if we go to the fountain, oops, right? These are all basic characters that are easy to unlock, right? You can preview all of these, right, beforehand. And that's how I knew I wanted to go with Nip and how I wanted to go with Jules, because I was like, oh, what are the elements of the game? I know not everybody does this, but this is what I do because I play so many of these free-to-play games. What are the elements of the game? What are they allowing me to preview? What could I use? Right? Those power elements are gotten by, as you can see, your aptitude rank. Your aptitude rank is huge, and there's multiple ways to level it up. Right? You get aptitude from starring your character. You get aptitude from the skill pros. You get aptitude from insight books. You get aptitude from the bazaar. You get aptitude from your from completing quests in your farm, and that's the only power portion of that is getting those items to level that up. And then your aptitude heavily influenced, as you can see here. There's 900 or 599 aptitude increase, which is on the far right for this item, and that directly corresponds to the power. Then, on top of that, the modifiers in place are huge. These are definitely things you want to get above 20%. There's different ways to level it, as you can see. You have a guaranteed 15 to 25% if you have these little lanterns. And then once you get high enough rank, you can do auto reforge, which is what I do now. And I just sit through and I auto reforge to 100 million. It's a good solid number and it doesn't kill the bank. You can easily kill your bank if you try to auto reforge 25%. It's just not a good investment. But you do want to at least auto forge to 100 million throughout before you start dumping in the advanced level. So each time you do that, oh shit, this is, I didn't even know I had that. Boom, see, just did that huge increase right there because it was already because I used it once. But yeah, so there we go. So that was a big, the 4% increase increased it by almost a million. So yeah, I did over a million power increase. So those small percentages are huge for power. So that's something to keep in mind. The aptitude is in direct relation to your base score. So it's there's an aptitude multiplier versus your base power. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. There's a fire close by, and it's making my throat sore. The next big thing that increases power is your family. Your family blessing, they'll tell you which characters they bless, and then there are certain upgrades to them. This is probably the easiest way to game the system in late game because you'll be able to go on these dates. Dates are used to find kids for your school, which I'll go over in a minute because it's part of the EXP system for your fellows. And that's where you're going to get the bulk of your EXP. And so, as you can see, the more what I've noticed is the correlation of the hearts. How many hearts you have is when you're more likely to get the date. So she's getting up there on the correlation. She has that. Boom, boom, boom. Once they're here, you can see that you'll get points to your blessing, and then these have like a two-factor where you have your skill, which increases earnings for your buildings, and your blessing, which increases your power. So they're kind of a dual resource here. The increases when they start getting up there, like when you start getting to where, as you can see, like 7,000 per level up, these are going to be huge increases. You can see there's 2.195 million increase on that character, and it's a base 40%. I haven't been putting anything into him, and it's a huge upgrade. Nip is the one that I've been using, so you can see here her blessing increase. Unfortunately she's the only family member that connects to her for a follower for power and stat. So I have leveled her up quite a bit, but she's still in the 3,000 zone. She's going to get stronger the more that I use that. Then we can take a look at the skills. The skill tree here is two parts. When you get it to a certain level of intimacy and I forgot whatever the enhancement is, or enchantment, there's the two stats, so you can give them presence to kind of foster those two things. It'll unlock this, which is a huge increase for everything, and that's like kind of late game leveling. That's another way to get huge increases on your earnings. But making sure that you have all of these in the 20% range is going to be massive as well. The increases are similar to how a artifact is with a fellow, but for currency on that side. And each one of your family members has it. So you can save the family members during events, not level up their skills, right? Right. So I haven't leveled up her skills over here. And each time I unlock one of these, those are all going to be direct increases going into the competition for that stuff. So that, being a free-to-play member, you get a lot of these date potions. Like, I have 570. I've never spent anything in these potions. They just give you them. I just use them daily, and when it's during the competition time for power increase, that's when I use all of them. So I've been saving those, and that's what I'm going to use when going into power competition. That allows you to compete with people who kind of rush ranks, who spend money, who wail out immediately, and then you know that's stuff that you can't really buy in that quantity, and those increases are massively significant, especially when you kind of focus in, like I focused in on Jewel and I focused on Nip, because their power levels are so high, their aptitudes are so high. As soon as I get one of those, it's like hitting the lottery. or hitting, on a jackpot on a spinning thing, because it's just you get boom, massive power increase. You can get 1 million, 2 million increase if you focus fire on each one of those. So that's a huge thing. When you unlock their CGs, basically the first time you like, I think you got to get them to 250 hearts, and then you can unlock their CGs. As you can see, their galleries. Sometimes they have multiple, and sometimes there's event specific ones. Those give you increases to how many points you'll get for each one of your family members. And then you can see, if you just go through the blessings, right? They are all very, very, they're not, some of them are theme specific, some of them are not. I think that when they first started doing the game, they were just kind of all over the place. And see, these are just more free stuff from just being online. But realistically, they're kind of all over the place in the beginning. They might later on start fixing that, but we'll see. They did one. Then you get these, as you can see, banquet rewards. Gives you record. This is another thing for whenever you get a new family member. Gives you access to open a banquet. Banquet gives you the ability to just buy stuff. It's just another shop. So it cycles in. Doesn't affect it drastically. These are another time thing. Every once in a while, you'll be able to get some of these scrolls from events, and this directly cuts into the aptitude. The aptitude cuts into power, so this is a power ranking sort of thing. You have to have a certain level of power to even go on these, so I'm going to challenge that person because they're not in the guild, and that's one of our guild members. So, boom, just kicked him out. So I try to do that as like part of the guild to be active. Try to keep our power in check because we are the top of the server. And then let's see, where else do we go with the power? So you have the golem stages. That the previous event, which is sadly I can't show, was an event that specifically used power to get through maze stages, and it was kind of like a dungeon crawler where you kind of go one step at a time, and then you had certain health, and if you ran out of health, you died. But if you had enough power going into it, you were able to climb the ladder super fast, and then compete. So that's kind of like where that was. It was more of for people who are already leveling power and stuff to really get an advantage of. Let's see where else. Obviously, this is like mini games, stuff like this. It's Candy Crush essentially with some more mechanics. Once you get high enough level, you're able to do the 8x faster versus 16x faster. But I think I have to be VIP level 5. I think I'm VIP level 4. Yeah. So I'm that many points. You do get VIP points every day from just doing your daily quest. It's only 5 points. But when you do crystal stuff and things like that, and if you do, like I have spent a little bit of money on the game, but I didn't spend any money on the game until I was like, I think, character level 26. And I'm character level 31 now. And it's just because I put so many hours into the game that I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw him some money. So I bought a VIP pack, or not a VIP pack, a battle pass, which is like any other game, right? $15. And then I spent like maybe $2-3 here and there anytime I wanted just a specific thing that I was looking for that I didn't want to wait for. Which was, I think it was for a power event. I just needed some power to place in the top 3, and I was like, oh, I'll just spend $1. But, you don't have to. I could have got... The reward cycles for these two are also, for instance, the school task, right? So in the leaderboard for this, I got second. And then if you look at the rewards here, from second to first, there's only about 20 difference, and that doesn't really do a lot. It's not a huge difference. See, they only give you 5 potions. It's like kind of like, whatever. The big thing is these are all prizes that you don't have to compete for. This is just like you going at your own pace, try to do as best you can, and you get rewards. Obviously, in the top charter, if I got 6,000 points, which is pretty hard to get, you get really good rewards, and you get a bunch of crystals. So if you save enough, you could easily do that. That's the thing. It's like I saved a bunch, and I was able to get in second place because I just had these candy things saved. Um, when you want to power up and level up your characters, that's when the school comes in place. And we're talking about the event. As you can see here, you educate, you get so much, points, and that EXP is used to level up your characters. Then you get these candies. Now, I don't use any of the candies unless it's an event. We just finished an event, so I'm already saving candies for the next event. And that is free to play. I got 2,000 of those things free to play just working on the event. And a lot of people don't realize and they just burn through them right away. But you can get a significant amount. And so that they also have events like this. Just comes up, boom, just got some more items. Those crystals are really, really valuable too for leveling up. You can't limit break a character without them. So those things pop up daily. If you focus in on that stuff, it'll be really helpful. Another big thing in the power is your fish. Your fish are probably one of the biggest increases of power for all of your fellows. So this one is an event fish right now that I got crowned, and you can see all fellow power is up by 3%. You saw how much 3% did just for Nip by itself. Boom, that's 3% for everybody. So that's a massive increase. And then it gives aptitude for all followers for the special event, and that's just currently a thing right now for people who are on. I'm saving all of these now because I started leveling them before, but I don't need to level anymore until the next power event. But any one of these with a red dot, that's instant power increase for either normal, rare, super rare, ultra rare, whatever characters that you have. And then if you catch a variety of fish, you'll unlock these little chat things. If you have crown set for all of them, it gives 2 different abilities. That will give EXP, that will give increases in power, that will give special abilities during an event, like this one. This gives you your, it gives a 50% increase if you get 2 of them. And then if you get both crown, it gives you a 100% increase, which is massive, because that's a 100% increase, all followers during the Golem attack run. So... And they have little funny lore bits, stuff like that. You can easily just collect. So you just collect the fish bait cycles. They give you ways to power those things up. You'll get little pearls, and they're pretty prevalent. I was trying to get that clownfish thing to get that ability for like 4 or 5 days after I figured that out. Or actually, no, probably longer than that, probably a week or so. And I just started leveling up all these things because I was just getting mostly pearls instead of that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much where your power. I'm trying to think of, is there any other big source of power besides that? Oh, there I can host another thing, invite the guild, invite the boys. But yeah, other than that, that's where your big power sources are. You do have roaming. Roaming is just generally not for power. There are sometimes when you get power. Oh, excuse me. But it's more for getting points to collect new family members. As you can see here, I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4 characters left for this, but I've attained pretty much all these other ones. And they have like a certain score. You'll end up at a bar randomly, and it's all random generation. You can't really power through that. It just is luck of the draw in the mechanics. So that's probably the only gotcha element in this. Everything else is about patience and strategic planning of your resources. As long as you do that, you'll be able to compete in any of the events that come up. And usually, like I said, the cycle is power first, then monetary increase of your village or your just general earnings, right? Then it's usually one for like crystal spending or something like that. And on top of that, you'll have other events that you'll be able to participate, such as this Santopia pilgrimage event, where we're in a prep stage, then there's a racing stage, and there's a racing stage and kind of attacking the other guilds, and then you have to go there and back. So it's first one there, first one back. Yeah, that's about it. I hope those things help. If you have any other specific questions, feel free to let me know. I hope those were some tips that would help you out. Have a great rest of your day.